Hey, everybody, welcome back to Advanced Kayak Angler podcast, live from, well, not live for you, live from me at my work again. Still trying to figure things out while they're building our house and we're moving. Got an offer, so that's good. Going to go ahead and get with it. Bring on Gregory. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man?
Good, man. It's good to talk to you. How's the kids?
Kids are good. Growing up way too fast, man. Like everyone says. So it's totally cliche, but it's also very true. Why everyone is
Yeah,
always correct when they say it goes by fast. So enjoy it while you can. So
that's
we're
right.
trying to do our best. And dude, looks like you and I are in a similar situation. I'm remote today, basically at a university kind of near my house, and so we got the blank walls and different setting. But I got a good signal. I can hear you good, so we should have a good time.
I got to step up my headphone game. Yours are a lot like
Yeah,
manlier.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, they're big and bulky. I can't really wear a hat when I do it, which whatever, but it works.
Yeah. Cool. Well, the reason I'm having you on is your new series, Kayak Adventure Series. Man, I watched your video, one of y'all, on YouTube and Facebook. I think 3 times now, trying to, want to prepare for the show. I'll just start with I am absolutely blown away by the amount of effort it must take to get a brand new trail off the ground. And I'll tell you what, and I wrote this down because I thought it was important. You have a master's in sports marketing. You were a TV show host, obviously a tournament angler, the father, family man, um, and a tournament director for River Bassin. You have all these great relationships with companies and people that you've met throughout, the last 10 plus years. I don't think anybody else in our sport or in the world could put a trail together like this. It seems like maybe the older I get, the more I appreciate how. Whenever I was younger,
Yeah,
I was in the military. I think I felt like everybody is the same, like I'm just one of millions. But you are such, but at the older I get, the more I find out how different everybody is, and everybody has their own skills, competencies, and things that we're not as good at. And you have found a way to take everything that you've done over your professional career, and put it all
yeah.
together into one thing. And I'm just
It's
blown away.
yeah. Thanks, man. I actually kind of realized the exact same thing you just said when, like, so many people messaged me, over the last few years, like, bring River Bassin back or do something like kind of like I'm thinking I'm enjoying fishing tournaments. Why are you guys? Why don't you guys start that? But I kind of realized, like you just did, like there's just a reason why they haven't, because they don't they're not in the position that I'm in with the ability to do it with the free time with I work in the industry, so it's all
Hmm.
considered part of what I do as well, since it's going to be a benefit for my sponsors who already support me, for the kayak company I work with, and all the other kayak manufacturers that super close and friends with. That I'm excited that we have so many kayak manufacturers all together to bring some unity, to a series. And I kind of realized the same thing, Dan. Like it's either me and it's kind of a burden that I either have to shoulder or bear or whatever. And I don't mean burden in a bad way, but it's kind of like,
Yeah.
if this is ever going to happen, we're going to do something unique and different, that lets people, you know, again, other people's words, not mine, but sort of like the people that were messaging me, they were like, hey, we enjoy kayak fishing the way that, that you got into it for, just kind of simplicity of it, and in a competitive way. It's getting harder for them to compete in other series, other national series, and that's fine, because those series have good reasons and their reasons for making the rules the way they've made them.
Hmm.
But I knew, as a tournament, former tournament director, and like you said, all the my I don't know, whatever resume, I know there is like an opening for something like this that is a little bit less intimidating, more of a, like you and I at the beginning, with these boondoggles we used to have, and the river bass and
Yeah.
rodeos and the fun campouts and the get-togethers. Because the other side of things, and it's such a compliment to those other series that are, and I fish them and still am going to fish them. Bassmaster and Hobie and KBF, like they're pushing us into new levels in their direction with they're like the elite series, they're Major League Fishing, it's getting so awesome, and what they're doing is incredible. But then there's something that it's kind of like an opening for something, in this level here that's not pro. And now, I mean, having said that, we're aware that, I mean,
It's still serious.
yeah, it's still serious, it's still competition.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, because we have a $150 entry fee to the individual division and a $150 for the team, which two-man team, so that's $75 a person. If you did the individual division and the team, you're still spending $225, which is kind of up there. But because of that, and when we're expecting good numbers of people into the hundreds, we're expecting some good turnouts. You're going to have good payouts because of that. So there is going to be, but the beauty is we feel like we're only doing 6. It's a low number. We're here to support and love just everybody in the industry. It doesn't matter. We want to support all those other tournament trails, because local tournament series, like, we're only going to be in one region where there's local clubs one time, and that we're only in your region one time. So if you want to partner with us, cool. If you want to, schedule, kind of leave our weekend free so your guys can come experience it, cool. But we want to give those club directors and people a chance even to be on our stage, and the theater on our stage, which we'll get into, and let them talk about what's happening, because we might be able to pull some people in just through our reach that maybe never really even kayak fished as much or didn't hear about these local clubs. But then once we leave and they had fun fishing a tournament, they're like, well, I want to do this again. Well, we're only there one day or whatever, 1 week a year. So what are they going to do? Well, local club. They're going to get connected with their local club. Hopefully they're going to, especially if they're there at the, show, and they see who that director is, and some of those anglers kind of get to know them and build that community. Or maybe they're going to go fish it, look at the Hobie schedule or the Bassmaster or the KBF and find somewhere else to go. Because most people are probably just going to fish 1 to 3 of ours total, I would imagine. But yeah, it's exciting.
Man, I guess we'll kind of go backwards how you did on your show, and we'll talk about where you're going to do them first.
Sure.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I got slides here if you want to present them.
Yeah, let's do it.
I got slides.
Yeah, here we go.
Do I have to click it or?
No, I
you got
it.
Okay, cool. Just
I'm clicking. There we go. All right. So the first one, May 3rd, and I had written them all down. I was really prepared here.
Yeah, you had it already. Now we get visuals for people who are watching this podcast.
And that's another thing that I wrote down, is that the branding, like, somebody who's really good at this. Somebody could have taken, like, the All-American Kayak Series. They kind of start off smaller. They've worked their way up. You're able to go, because you've been doing, you've been doing, like I said, you've been doing all this for so long that you're able to just ramp it up from the start and not have to work your way up. I mean, I'm sure it will grow, but
right.
But the branding is amazing. You've got your hashtags.
Right.
Like, it's obviously truly well thought out.
We've been working on it since probably November, December. That's how long. Wow. And so people don't understand that. Like, my life is consumed. I've got other responsibilities with Crescent and for my sponsors, and I'm fishing tournaments and whatever. Having a decent season again. On I think I'm 10th at AOI for Bassmasters with one event left, so maybe I doubt I'm going to be repeating, but maybe I can get close to get the top 5 or something. But I got all that going on. But at the same time, like, a lot of my time has been spent over the winter, November, December. I mean, just thinking about everything and making this, like I said, something that's totally different from what else is out there, because we don't need something that's the same again. You know what I mean? There's a lot of similar trails out there, that are awesome. But there's no room for that. What we need, if anything, is something just totally different. And that's kind of what this is. And so our branding here, you can see it's every one of them. It's the Kayak Adventure Series. They all have a festival name to them because there is an opening and closing ceremony to it. And the opening ceremony is kind of where you come, you get checked in, stuff like that. But it's live music, it's games, food trucks. It could be at a brewery, wherever, at different places, different cities, we're at different places. But that's the fun opening ceremonies. And the closing ceremonies is the one on Saturday before we go to the theater for the awards. But basically, what I'm saying is they all have this cool festival theme. And at the Saturday festival, we're going to have bouncy houses and the same music, food trucks, Toyota truck demos, ATV demos at some of them, kayak demos, which is super important to
Yeah,
get the dealers,
you finally got
kayak
Toyota in the
companies.
sport. I know
Yeah,
you
yeah, we
had
got
talked
them.
about that before.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get our hopes too much up, but they're in it to some little degree, and that is all that matters. Just keep getting their attention, right? Like that
Heck
we
yeah.
that we matter. Not that we I mean, we know we matter, but it's like we matter in a very big way because 500 to 700,000 fishing kayaks are sold a year compared to 9,000 brand new bass boats, fiberglass bass boats. So there's aluminum and stuff like that. I'm sure that
They,
John boats,
they've
but
got Tundras, we've got Tacomas.
yeah, exactly. So they're going to be in. And I believe bonus bucks is going to count too, down to potentially like 5 year, or I don't know. We'll have to see if it's 3 year, 5 year newer truck that they allow for bonus bucks. So
Wow.
anyway, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, Sholey Palooza is where we're starting. And by the way, this graphic is kind of old. It's the only one that doesn't have the town on there. But this one just says Georgia. But we're actually just finalized that we're going to have it in Thomaston, Georgia. So that's right near the Flint River. So Thomaston, Georgia, and we're going to be at the Ritz Theater right there in downtown Thomaston for the awards. So that's exciting. That this we're calling it Sholey Palooza because man, that's right in the heart of shoal bass water, and we're gonna have lakes every stop except for the Susquehanna stop we'll get to later. Every stop has lakes and rivers and bounds because we want. What's unique about the series is we want it basically. I could have made the hashtag Choose Your Adventure, but I think that's too used by other companies and
Yeah.
people. Someone choose your adventure, but that's kind of what the Kayak Adventure Series is. You choose your adventure. So if you're a lake angler, flat water, cool. We're going to have water that's in bounds for you. If you are a river, creek angler, cool. We got that. If you are a motor angler, cool. Use it. If you're not a non motor angler, cool. But the good news for you is you can launch from any public access anywhere and you can portage over logs and things. So think about it. You actually have, there's a big, I mean, I won the AOI for Hobie and Bassmaster again. In Bassmaster, obviously they had motors were allowed. Never
Yeah.
used it. Never used a graph. Hobie never used a motor in pre-fishing. Never used a graph or anything in the tournament. So the point is, but when you have the rules and the boundaries and all the accessing and the ability to portage structured correctly, everyone kind of has their equal chance. It's actually very, very fair because you got to look at it like this. It's a positive that we're allowing motors because you, as an angler, if you love to just take 3 rods and a little 10 and a half, 11-foot kayak in a creek or river and access from someplace that's difficult, the motor guys having motors completely eliminates them from being in your water because they're going to use their motor. They're going to access somewhere where that is accomplishable, if that's a word.
Yeah.
It's achievable to access, which is generally a boat ramp. They're going to launch. So therefore, you have water to yourself, and now you're kind of just in competition with other anglers who kind of fish your style. They're in competition with people that fish their style, and quite frankly, they kind of need motors on the lakes with the wind and to get around and compete with the bass boats and other anglers that are going to be on their water, where you probably just have to compete against people in the tournament if you're a backwater. But it's you know like you can sneaky access even parts of lakes that a motor guy can't, and you could be there first. Now the rest of the day, the motor guy is going to have an advantage over you because he is going to be moving around going quicker, but you can still pull out and go to other places with little small boats. So it's kind of like just you choose your adventure, your style. You want to use Panoptics and Live Scope and all that stuff. Cool. But it's great because it just lets people do what they love to do and what they want to do. It keeps all the sponsors in the game, which helps the overall, trail survive and bring more cool stuff for the anglers. So Sholey Palooza in Georgia, May 3rd and 4th, 2024. Can't wait to see how many people catch their first shoal bass or a
Heck
PB
yeah.
shoal bass. I mean, around the country, it's just a reason to come down to Georgia and catch this rare fish. I've caught 2 over 7 pounds. I've got 2 that were 7 pounds, 2 ounces. Caught one that was 24 and a quarter inches. A biologist measured it, was there with me, fisheries biologist. It's the longest shoal bass I still have ever seen. So they're in there. It's going to be fun. And if you think for some reason this is river bass in part 2 and you think everyone's going to be fishing rivers and creeks and you're a lake angler, then guess what? You have a huge advantage. If there's going to be no one in the lakes, that's just going to be you and a couple other people, then that's the reason, because largemouth still count, and Alabama's and smallmouth and all these places, they still count. So it doesn't matter where you catch them, flat or moving
I,
water.
I love that part of it, that everybody's going to be spaced out. Rivers,
Yeah.
creeks, backwater, main lake, different bodies of water. I mean, it's, yeah.
It's your
I,
puzzle to
I,
figure out. Yeah.
yeah.
It's
Cool.
basically we let people fish an hour from our headquarters, from that theater where the closing ceremonies festival is going to be in that area, that town. You get to fish within an hour, and we just listed on the website, which is live later this month, here in September. We list all the rivers and lakes that are within an hour that you have on your boundary eligible water map on the website. They're clearly listed which ones they are, and think of them. They're called your core bodies of water. And if something is free flowing into a core body of water, whether it's a lake or river, all game. Even if there's a spillway dam, you can go above that spillway dam if you want. Put in above it. We don't care. We will have a red line there if it's a boundary up above a dam. That it'll be very easy to understand our whole eligible water. It's gonna be pretty easy to understand. So we got it dialed in and
The way it
explained.
should be.
Yeah,
Let's be honest here.
yeah, exactly. I mean, we got into this for that reason. I got into
Yeah.
this at the very beginning to fish places where boats can't go because it's kind of getting not as fun on lakes, and lakes are kind of always gradually getting worse. They have their years that go up and down, but overall, it's like the opposite of land value that always kind of going up, or the stock market's always kind of going up, even though it has its ups and downs. Lakes are always getting worse. I mean, over time, they're just gradually getting worse because we kill the grass, and
And
I got into this
they're
for the
just
fun
getting
stuff.
older and older and older.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah.
They're just getting silted in by
Yeah.
the lakes. I mean, by the rivers and creeks, and that's just going to keep making them. Now you can do things to fix them, like put in, pelagic, bait fish, and if they let the grass grow, then that helps. It gives. And there's a lot of great lakes out there, and the lakes we're going to aren't these main lakes that you've heard of. They're all these smaller lakes that don't get the pressure. So trust me, these lakes are awesome. A lot of the smaller lakes we're going to around the country, and some of the places we go up north, which we can flip onto the next slide if you want, because the lakes up north, they don't spray grass like they do down south. In general, most of them leave the grass, fairly. Okay, I have to hit it.
There we go.
I didn't realize I had to hit it. Now that you got it on the screen, I have to control it. So, Whitehall, Michigan is stop number 2, Wild Whitehall. And that one is going to be, you see a largemouth and a smallmouth on the graphic there, a battle between largemouth and smallmouth, because the cool thing about this tournament is Whitehall, Michigan is on the east side of Lake Michigan, and all the rivers that flow into it form these lakes before they get in there. And then there's a narrow, just teeny little narrow shipping canal that gets you out to Main Lake Michigan proper. So that's your boundary. You can't go into Main Lake Michigan. So you can fish the lakes like Muskegon Lake and White Lake and Spring Lake and the Grand River, all right there, that just it deltas out, if you want to call it, bays out into these just very good size flat waters. But there's actually about 10 lakes. Some of them are smaller that actually go free flowing, go into the lake north of Whitehall and south of Whitehall. So it's really cool. You got all those lakes that are in play, and you've got a lot of rivers, all the rivers feeding them in play to the east, that flow into it. So in the free flowing rivers, I've fished it once, so I don't know if this is 100% true, but you got to imagine your smallmouth, they're probably going to focus more on that moving water, and then you're going to get largemouth and smallmouth in the lakes, but more you're going to find your largemouth there in the vegetation, in the lakes. So, and they get big. I mean, I went up there and caught some big ones when I was just there for a demo day early this year, and caught some real nice fish. And you can catch 5, 6, 7 pounders up there.
I was looking at the map earlier before the show, and man, it's a really interesting place to fish, and how you would choose water and strategy. Like, if you're going ramp hop,
whole new strategy. Cool. Yeah, it brings a whole new element to the game. That's going to be exciting. And then, we'll kind of touch on different elements while we go through here, but it's a day and a half format. So it starts on Friday. These opening ceremonies are on Thursday, like I said, which is nice because it doesn't start till 3:00 on Friday. No pre-fishing allowed on Friday morning. It's just 3 p.m. start, and 3 to 7.
Oh, so you can't pre-fish on Friday. No, that was one of the questions I had.
Yeah, you cannot. And so the reason is we want people to come together and develop relationships and form friendships, and with their wives, families, kids, whoever, each other. We wanted built-in time for that. And so when you come, the opening ceremonies, you can be up as late as you want, because no one has to get up early in the morning for Friday. You can't. You're not allowed. You can get up and scout, you can rig, you can do all you want on Friday. And we actually have seminars on Friday morning. It's Hopefully, it's going to be sponsored by Bass University or Black Rifle. We're talking with both those companies right now about potentially being the headline sponsor of the brunch on Friday. So Bass U brunch or Black Rifle brunch. It's like 10 to 12. We're going to have seminars. Think like Jeff Little, myself, other celebrities that I'll bring in. It's totally optional and voluntary. 10 to 12. You just come, spool up, rig up while you're listening to a seminar, while you're eating some food. But the point is, it doesn't start till 10. That gives you the opportunity. You could be up as late as you want, having fun on Thursday, pushing each other in the bushes.
I was going to ask about. You said that on the other one too. What is push? Are you used to pushing people in the bushes?
Well, sure, dude. I mean, come on. And back in college, back in the day, you have a little too much to drink. Maybe it's a little late. Next thing you know, you're pushing your buddies in the bushes. I don't know. Um,
All right.
so if you get a little crazy, all I'm saying is on Thursday night. The point is, you can stay up late. You can have fun. You can get a
Yeah.
little crazy if you want to, or even if you don't mean to. It's okay. It's not going to hurt your chances at the tournament because you don't get on the water until 3. And quite frankly, you can still make it. It's 10 a.m. to that brunch, right, for the seminars if you want to be a part of that on Friday. And then that's over at noon. So you still have 3 hours to do more rigging, set shuttles, scout, whatever you want to do, to where you can get on the water at 3. And that's 3 to 7 as you fish. And then there's nothing going on, Friday night. Get to bed as early as you can, get to bed, get on the water for Saturday, all day Saturday, end at 3, and then come back for the festival. And then around 6 o'clock, we all go to the theater for the awards. So anyway, say all that to say.
I like this too. Like I don't think you
Mm-hmm.
meant it this way, but like let's say I want to go up there and fish. I drive from Alabama. I go up there and fish an event. It's over on Saturday evening. I know you set this up where it's fun for the family, like
Yeah,
they can come out too. But like up there, if my wife wants to fly into
yeah,
Grand Rapids or Detroit, they can fly in Saturday. She doesn't lose any vacation time. They fly in Saturday, then we take a
exactly.
driving vacation back home, which I
Yeah,
thought that was
exactly.
cool.
Stuff like that can go down. People could fly in for the event. The other thing I will say is for like the point was to end on Saturday, so people will be there at the results in these cool historic theaters with the marquees. You're going to be in air conditioning. You're going to have real lighting, a real stage. The anglers just get this cool experience, and we're showing pictures and videos of your catches on the big screen behind you. I have a production crew that's going to go out and follow and film people. On top of that, we're encouraging, and more likely, most of the footage is going to come from the anglers. So you're saying, well, why would the anglers? Some of them film themselves already, but this is just going to encourage them to film themselves even more because they got a chance to get their videos on the big screen, right? If they have one or two cool catches, we'll show as they're coming across the stage. And Alex Rudd is an MC with me, so we'll be asking them questions, talking about
Oh
that.
Lord.
Yeah, oh yeah, oh Lord. But so I mean, the idea is to have him up there with me. I think we can keep it light, we can keep it fun, we can just keep everyone just not feeling like a lot of pressure and stress because these tournaments can get to people with
Yeah.
stress and like, oh, this is like all like serious. Well, it is, but we're going to keep it light and fun. But so yeah, the fishing is serious. You want to win, but we'll show those pictures and videos, and then on top of that, we're going to air this all on most likely My Outdoor TV. It looks like they're the ones who want to be our TV partner to air 6 episodes. So each one of these events will be an episode on My Outdoor TV as our broadcast partner, and then boom. So why would you not film yourself knowing that if you get a good clip, we're going to have a way to submit that through our website. We're actually testing it in October and
Okay.
submit it to our website. And
So you'll
like a
you'll log in.
minute or less. Yeah, a minute or less. You
Okay.
just submit a good clip, and you just simply put the date that the clip was and any comments about it. So Alex Rudd and I can be talking about it
Oh,
on
like
the TV
post.
show. Yeah, right. So we
Oh,
know
okay.
we're going to also, of course, be filming the results so that we have he and I talking to you on the stage as
Hmm.
B-roll. I mean, and then you got the B-roll of you catching that fish as well, so that our audio, our conversation on stage could potentially be paired with that for the show. But we need we need a little information so you can add in some comments like what you caught it on and whatnot, on that submission. Then submit it. Less than like a minute clip. You submit it, and then you could have the chance to be on the TV show episode. It doesn't have to be like some big fish. It could be a crazy fight. You could flip over. You could have seen a deer swimming across the river, and
Geese
you filmed a
attacking.
deer. Yeah, a goose could attack you. You never know, man. So that's the
I
idea
hear
with
you.
the. I think people are going to film themselves more in this series because of that. knowing that.
Yeah.
And that's the idea. And then on top of all that, Dan, we'll have a big award from GoPro, who's the main
Oh,
sponsor
really?
of this whole thing, where whoever has the best like edit, I don't even think we've shared this yet, so this is like new breaking
No.
news. But whoever has the best
Do,
edit
do, do, do. Breaking,
yeah,
breaking.
of stop number
Sorry.
one. So I'll back up the slide here. So in Whitehall, Michigan, on the big screen in the theater, we're gonna share the best video edit from Sholey Palooza. See what I'm saying? And then whoever
Oh,
has the
okay.
edit, whoever's the winner of the GoPro's epic edit, I think that's what we're gonna call that award. Then they get this giant GoPro package. I mean, like thousands of just tons of stuff from GoPro, and it's the epic edit. So that's the idea is to film yourself so you can either be on the big screen, be on the TV show, or win this huge package with a cool edit of your experience. So anyway,
Can,
that's it.
can,
Now the next good.
well, can you also talk about? I know
Mm-hmm.
you had talked about new canoes going to put up a kayak for
Yeah.
kind of the philanthropy part of the trail, which I thought was awesome.
Yes, we're raising money for charity and the local river keepers. So in Georgia, we'll be raising money for the shoal bass through the local Flint River keeper, who will be there. And I want to have Dr. Salmons, who I know you've talked to, or maybe you've at least heard him on my
Oh yeah, I've
podcast
heard them.
before. Or hopefully he's going to do one of the seminars there for the Bass U or whatever we call it, the brunch on Friday about shoal bass. But anyway, we're going to raise money for the local Flint River keeper and any river keepers in the area at these events, and through the kayak raffle at each event. So there's a kayak manufacturer that's sponsoring, that's presented by at each one of these.
Oh,
And
okay.
so right now there's 4 already confirmed, and a 5th one's pretty much confirmed, but 4 confirmed. I can tell you who they are. I mean, it's New Canoe, Crescent, the Osprey inflatables that Innovative Sportsman and Jeff Little
Yeah, heck yeah.
are making. They're really cool. And Bonafide. Those 4 manufacturers are already in, and a couple more are about to probably join as well. And we'll have one for each event. And then what we'll do is we'll have that donation not go to the winner, but go to a raffle. Someone will win it, and then all the proceeds go to pediatric cancer in this first season to support, all the kids, that unfortunately it's sad, but I know Alex
Yeah.
Rudd, him, he works with that Punt Foundation. We're going to use those guys and try to get money to help support those families who are going through a very tough time. So together we can make a difference,
As
together.
a
But
dad, I mean, you can look at
yeah.
Jeff Mallett's granddaughter. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's especially whenever you become a dad and you see kids who are, in a
Oh
bad,
yeah.
yeah, just
Just want to do
God,
whatever we can, man.
it's so tough.
Yeah. So the next one will be Ozarkana and Poplar Bluff, Missouri, and that's like Lake Wapapello. Again, these lakes that you've probably never heard of, but I mean, I've seen 29 pounds win a tournament there in the spring, so it's got some fish in it. Wapapello and Clearwater Lake, Duck Creek Conservation Area Lake. There's multiple lakes and bounds, and then you got all the rivers, the Ozark rivers. Poplar Bluff is the gateway to the Ozarks. That's what that city is tagline is. So they're right there where the mountains start. So if you go to the north and the west at all above the city, you're going to see more like kind of clear Ozarky kind of looking streams, more smallmouth dominated, but there's spotted bass and largemouth as well. And then around the city of Poplar Bluff, south and to
It's
the east.
southeast. Yeah, it's south. If people
It's
don't
like
know
3.5
where it's
hours
at,
from Nashville. It's very
yeah, I mean
close. I mean, it's
you're
Missouri, but
right
it's
there in the like Arkansas, Tennessee,
yeah,
Kentucky, southeast, southwest Illinois, kind of where they all meet.
yeah,
So
very close for
yeah,
a lot of the bass fishing population. Even though it's Missouri, but it's going to be cool because that's going to be another battle between largemouth and smallmouth. I think we don't know what's going to happen. You can kind of pick your poison. I mean, Duck Creek Conservation Area, that lake has just vegetation. It basically looks like headwaters down in Florida where they filled up a rectangle, and it's in the Mississippi River floodplain. So that lower elevation, that warmer, seasonal temperature, and there's cypress trees even in it. So you could be frogging for largemouth at some of that water that's to the south, and oxbows from the lakes. I mean, from the rivers and places like that, you can find that are more. Again, you think like below the fall line where you are in Alabama in the
yeah.
southeast, your rivers get windy and they get a little bit more stained. They get a little bit better largemouthy. They create oxbows. You got all that to the south of the city, so you got a little bit potentially warmer water, a little bit better maybe largemouth habitat. So do you go largemouth down there and spotted bass, or and there's smallmouth there too, I'm sure, but you're kind of focusing on that in Duck Creek Conservation Area or some of the lakes, or do you go smallmouthing? And so it's crazy. It's going to be a good event. We got the historic Rogers Theater that's there. That's awesome to be at, and I can't wait to for you guys to see it. Poplar Bluff's gonna be fun because there's a place called Haffy's that's right across from the theater. They're holding all the opening and closing ceremonies, and it's this giant sports bar that's got a stage inside for live music. It's got pool tables, darts, all the games. It's got a beer garden across the street in the block. They own it all, and it's just like cornhole and all the fun stuff is out there. All the tables and umbrellas and stuff, a place to just hang out and drink and just chill. And they got
Heck yeah.
the cool lights over the street and the cobblestone street there. It's just awesome. But the coolest thing about Haffy's, man, is that every one of these tournaments has an after party, a designated after party location. And
You're
we're going to go
talking my
to
language.
That's right. We're going to, because again, think about it, guys. The reason why we're doing this Friday, Saturday is so we can end on Saturday. So people will be there and be able to celebrate and have fun all together. And they don't have to run back home to work because it's Sunday, and people can be there at the theater to celebrate and clap and cheer for their friends and family who get the awards, right? But also to be able to hang out late into the night and have fun with each other. So this Haffy's has a stage with karaoke. And we're going to do kayak angler karaoke, and it's going to be a good time when everyone already has nothing else to get up for the next day, and they can just have fun and let loose on Saturday night
I
as long
want to
as
see
they want.
Jody Quinn sing something.
Dude,
That'd be
Jody's,
awesome.
I mean, he's good. He's going to play. He and Abby Abadanza are going to play music at some of these events, like for the
Okay.
either on Thursday or Saturday. Probably Thursday, the opening ceremonies, because I know Saturday they'll be fishing. It's hard to know when they're going to get back. So probably Thursday they're going to do some of our live music on. Maybe we can get them to play at after party at one of the places for sure. So
I like it.
that's gonna be a fun one. That's July 12th and 13th, and then the Fiesta on the Susky is next August 9th and 10th in Towanda, Pennsylvania. Which I don't know if we said the date for like for the people listening on podcast. Whitehall was June 7th and 8th. By the way, that was the second one in Missouri, July 12th and 13th, and then Towanda, Pennsylvania, the North Branch of the Susquehanna River, August 9th and 10th. And that one is good. It's called the Fiesta on the Susky. And that is going to be a real party on that Susquehanna River because that's the only event that doesn't have any lakes. But look, it's the Susky. There are no lakes anywhere near there to even include. But we've already established how great that fishery is and how it can handle the pressure of that many kayak anglers. Now, this is just the North Branch. So there is a long, it's over 100 something miles of water. And you've got the Chemung River that goes off to the north and to the west, and you've got the North Branch that goes to the north and to the east, and that's right around the border of New York and Pennsylvania is where that split is. So you can go up either one of those a ways, and then you guys will see it all when the website comes out, the boundaries. And then south, you can go to Tunkhannock, the town of Tunkhannock, and every tributary that flows into that river, that's all inbounds and legal too. So you've got a lot of water. And again, we wanted to do this and make sure we have a lot of water, lakes and rivers, because we're prepared for 400 and 500 people at these events. And you can still find a way to be alone and not be on top of each other with that many people when you do the boundaries this way. And it's up to you to figure out that puzzle, like where, you got to outthink your competitors sometimes too. Like, well, where's everybody else going to go? It's like this local tournament I won this past week, and that was the biggest key to me winning because some guys were coming downstream, on the river I was fishing, and some were coming up behind me, but I was able to get there first and think, but they were all in the right area to win. I just happened to think about, what if more people show up here? I've got to be the first to hit this first. And that's just unfortunate the way tournament fishing is, but we want to alleviate that as much as possible and let people be alone because no one has ever complained about being alone, fishing a tournament. So we're giving it a big boundary so that there's the best odds of that happening. You can just relax and have fun, hopefully be relatively alone for your fish. And that's going to be a lot of fun. That's the festivities there right on the river. So that's going to be a blast. To have the theater right there. It's called the Keystone Theater that is literally on the river. The park that we're having our opening and closing ceremony festival is right on the river. It's just going to be epic. Because it's all right there, literally on the river.
It's Susquehanna. Everybody loves that.
And they love it. And that was actually voted the River of the Year. The North Branch of the Susquehanna was actually the 2022 River of the Year for the state of Pennsylvania. So it's
Wow.
which is a bunch of criteria that goes into that. But it's very pristine and clean, and it's going to be pretty epic. So
Cool.
the next one here, the last regular season event, is September 6th and 7th in Sauk Prairie, Wisconsin. That's the Wisconsin River Fest. And that is going to be a blast because the Wisconsin River makes Lake Wisconsin that's right there. And there's another kind of unnamed lake section of the river as well around Wisconsin Dells that's inbound. So you got definitely a good amount of flat water because that's like a 9 or 10,000 acre Lake Wisconsin. It's not small. You got a lot of good flat water with good smallmouth and largemouth, and then you've got a huge chunk of free flowing river with some other rivers and creeks and tributaries that are big enough to float and fish as well that feed in there. But that one, I'm telling you right now, Christine Fisher posted this on when she saw this. She said, "This is like a quote, direct quote. The Wisconsin River is better. She thinks is better than Susquehanna." Christine said that. Better.
Whoa.
I don't think that was even possible that anything could be better than Susquehanna. So we might be about to expose something here. That's what I think could happen for the kayak fishing world because we need our Lake Forks and Chickamaugas and you know what I mean, like that the bass boat
Yeah.
world has those. Gunnersville's. We need those, and we have some. We know Susky's one of them, right? And we have some other ones that are kind of our little thing that the bass boats don't really get to that also have a lot of good fish and get a big draw. But this might be another one. And we are total. I mean, I've talked to the other tournament directors. I'll give the tourism department contacts to AJ, Steve, Chad, whoever. I mean, we're not going to these places back to back to back in years. We're separating it out. If we ever go back somewhere, it's going to be like our goal is to have it be like 3 or 4 years before we ever even go back to somewhere because the whole idea and the people we are trying to cater to and attract, they want to explore new places. They want to adventure. It's the Kayak Adventure Series. They don't want to go back. Like we honestly don't really even want the people who are just, I'm just waiting until a tournament comes to my backyard. Then I'm going to fish it because it's all about winning the money to me. And that's it. Well, that's kind of not really the attitude of the person we're looking for anyway. So we're fine if we kind of miss that person. We want the people that want the fellowship, the friendships, and that matters more, you know what I mean, than the winning and the money and the experience and the memories that when you leave this life, that's all you got left, right? So the Wisconsin
And
River Fest will be one.
I've been wanting a reason to take my wife and kid up to Wisconsin Dells. So,
Yes,
man, yeah.
it's just north there. 20 minutes north is the Wisconsin Dells, which if you don't know, that's the touristy part of one of the touristy parts of Wisconsin with all the water parks and the big hotels, the mini golf and the boat
Tommy
tours on the
Bartlett Air and Water Show, the
yeah,
duck
all that cool
boats.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun for the family. And then that was the idea behind all of these stops. They're all picked for a reason. They actually all have a lot of cool stuff for the families to do, and we even have an excursion that's happening on Saturday for the families. That's for all the kids and families that are coming. That my wife will be kind of leading, whether it's a hike or they're going to see
Oh, really?
a historic site or something that's unique about the area. You know what I mean? It's getting people together like that during the day before they head to the festival for the families is pretty cool. So they're all kind of picked for a
That's
reason.
awesome.
But Sauk Prairie itself, I'll tell you this, I've been there and visited the town, and it's similar to Towanda, Pennsylvania, that everything's right on the water. Like the brewery and the pizzeria and the bowling alley that we're going to have our after party in and be right across the street from the brewery for the opening ceremonies. So I'm sure people will go bowl and have fun at the Riv is what it's called, the Riviera Pizza and Bowl on Thursday after the opening ceremonies. And Wilderness Fishing Game is there that has all kinds of like hunting and fishing, everything you can do. It's a big outdoor store. Everything, all the supplies you need. It's literally all right there, and it's all right on the river. So our kayak demos are going to happen there. It's all going to be tons of fun. That's going to be one of the best events of the year for sure. And someone's going to catch like a 6-pound smallmouth and or largemouth. I mean, big largemouth too, but I know there are giant of both species, but I've heard, I mean, I've even seen some sevens that have come out of that area. So
Wow.
they're in there. They're in there. And actually, in the reply to Christine's comment on my Facebook post, 2 people posted like 21-inch smallmouth that look as tall as they were long. Talking about how good that area is. So yeah, I'm so excited, man, because every one of them, I can't imagine, because knowing what I know about the venues and the fisheries, and I just can't imagine anyone like missing any of them because they're just going to be so incredible. But people have lives and schedules, and so most likely, people are going to fish 1 to 3, which is, by the way, our minimum for AOI is 3. And we haven't mentioned there's a team, a 2-man team, or maybe we did mention that. So if you want to
Quickly.
be an AOI, you got to fish 3 events. You can obviously fish 4 or 5, all the regular season events, but it's your 2 regular season best 2 regular season events, which is just 2 plus the championship, which is called Broodstock, which I don't know if I have that on my slide. Yeah, here it is. There's the logo. Broodstock is our championship. I'm not going to announce where it is now. We have it pretty much done, but I'm not going to announce it quite yet. But it's going to be an exciting, very centralized location in the country, so very accessible for everyone who fishes all these other ones. And I'll be honest with you, if you live in Indiana or Illinois or Ohio or Kentucky or Tennessee, I mean, you're very close to all these in the sense that you're not, you don't have one like right in your backyard per se, right? Because we've kind of are making a circle around so far everywhere we've listed, but you're not far from going to 2 of them, and then go to the championship for your 3rd, which is very central for Broodstock. And Broodstock is just a play on Woodstock, but it's also Broodstock if you know anything about spawning bass. The Fisheries and Wildlife Department, when they spawn the bass, they stock in all the lakes, right? They go and they shock up and they get the biggest females they can in males and they spawn those 2 together because their genetics are, obviously going to get big, and they call that the Broodstock. Their Broodstock is what they use to spawn hatchery fish. So it's kind of it's a fishing term, but it's a kind of a play on the Woodstock thing. So 10 years from now, Dan, I can't wait to hear somebody say like, "Oh, dude, I remember I was at Broodstock 1. It was incredible. We did this, this, and this. It was so much fun," and just the stories. So it's kind of our vision. It's our Red
Remember
Crest classic.
all the people in them bushes?
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Oh man. Yeah, I use that all the time just because it's funny, the bushes thing. But someone's probably going to film themselves pushing somebody in the bushes now because of this, and it's going to be on
I
the
think
epic
I pushed
edit.
somebody in the bushes before, but yeah.
You gotta try it. It's fun.
So what about camping?
Oh yeah, people are going to camp these for sure. They're going to do a lot of.
Are you going to have like designated? I know like AJ or Steve, they'll have like a designated hotel, campground, things like that. Is that something that you're going to do as well?
Yeah, we'll have it listed on the website. We actually have a spot on the website that says recommended like lodging, campgrounds and lodging, and then also recommended things to do in the area like restaurants and breweries and bars, restaurants. There's going to be the places that we recommend, and that's the tourism department saying, they're trying to put their best foot forward. They've got a lot of cool stuff going on in their town, and you don't know the town, so you don't have time to drive around and figure out what's great. They're just telling you like these are the coolest places in town, the most fun. Go to those. So if you follow what's recommended on the website, then you're gonna I think have a really good time. It's gonna be hard to mess up for sure. But yeah, it's
$150 for the event, $150 for the team event, but really $75 per person, right?
And you could just enter the team. So that's the idea. We want to make it low cost. So if you're like, hey, I don't want to enter in this whole spend $225, just enter in the team division with a buddy, and you're only out $75 and you're in the game. Okay, that's it. And there's a lot of ways to win. We've got obviously big bass is always a prize, but we also have a bounty bass. We're putting a huge bounty, and most likely it's going to be $13,000 if you catch this one fish that we tag. It's got to be in the presence of the DNR and all this. And there's a lot of like insurance, because it's an insurance policy we have to take out on this one fish, right? So I don't have to pay the $13,000, but I have to pay insurance, which is not cheap. But at every event, I got to pay in case somebody catches it, right? And then if somebody catches this thing the first year, I'm going to be kind of like happy for them, but it kind of ticked off because my insurance is going to go way up and I may not be able to do it again. But it's a cool concept. It's like a hole in one. You know what I mean? So you got cool things to fish for. And the other thing we didn't mention that's one of the coolest is the micro bag division is the smallest 5 fish with a minimum of 5 inches. So the micro bag is basically, let's say you're fishing a normal tournament, and we've all been there, Dan. We've had a bad event. It's not going well. And you just pack up and you trunk slam and you pretty much just leave before the tournament's even lines out is even up. And people just, or maybe you just leave right when it's over, but you're frustrated. You're having a bad day. You lost a bunch of fish, but the micro bag is the 5 smallest fish. It has to be between, you can only score fish in the micro bag division if it's 5 inches minimum and only up to 9.75. So basically you're trying to get the smallest 5 fish. You're trying to get 25 inches, a 25-inch bag. That's what you're trying to do. But here's the thing. when you're fishing for small fish, Dan, as you know, you're going to get more bites, you're going to catch more fish, you're going to have fun because you're still catching fish in a tournament, and these fish matter. Not matter like, oh, you're going to get here's a bag of lures or a couple baits. No, like it matters for like real money. A real amount of the pot is going that direction to the micro bag, because I mean, maybe you just are somehow you just got outmatched by didn't have as much time to practice, and maybe some ringers or in the tournament or whatever. Like I mean, so many reasons people just it may not work out for you in that tournament. You lost fish. Just switch to the micro bag division in the middle of day number, 2 Saturday, or
Pull
even
out the Ned and go micro.
just go take your ultralight, get a ice rod, get a fly rod, whatever you got to do to
Get your
get
fuzzy dice. Yeah.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, get that little bait, the little dice bait. But get that Z-Man micro finesse baits. Those are perfect for it. I mean, I've been catching some real small ones testing it. It's harder to catch a 5 than it is to catch a 6. It's harder to catch a 6 than it is to catch a 7, and vice. It's the same thing on the upper end. It's harder to catch a 23 than it is an 18, right? It works the same way than reverse. It's harder because there's only so many fish that are still that small from the spawn, and it's harder to keep a 5 or 6 inch hooked because they have thinner mouths. They're like thin little paper. It's harder to actually just keep them hooked and get them in the boat. So it's easy to catch a 10, 8, 9, and 10. Yeah. Like, anybody can catch those on accident with throwing whatever bait, a net or even a little plopper or whatever. Try going down to 5s and getting that, and it becomes a game within a game, and it disperses people that are all fishing the same waters that are not on top of each other anymore. If I'm trying to micro bag, I'm up some little creek that nobody who's trying to catch the biggest fish would ever even be thinking about, because fish that size wouldn't be there. So it's letting all that water just get utilized, to the fun, for the fun of the event. And it makes your heart pound like, oh my God, it's like, it's a 5, it's a 6. Oh, like, and you're bringing it in, and when it gets in, you just can't believe it when it hits that 5, which someone's going to catch a 4 3/4. It's going to be sad because they can't get it to touch 5, but the catch board starts at 5 sometimes when they have logos on them sometimes. So we had to make a minimum so we could tell if it's the same fish, if, for the, someone ever tried to score the same fish twice. And we'll have all different rules. We'll get into it, I'm sure, later in other podcasts. And pre-fishing rules, we're going to limit people to 4 days, but they get to pick their 4 days within 2 weeks of the event. So if you live within 2 or 3 hours, again, for the working guy, if you live within 2 or 3 hours, go fish Saturday and Sunday 2 weekends before, and then fish Saturday and Sunday again the weekend before, and then just roll right in on Friday and start fishing.
I wish I had do that on all trails for ones that, like events that are closer, so I can go fish the weekend before and maybe 1 day of practice where I don't have to burn more vacation days.
Exactly. That's the whole idea. And just making it where more people, because if you're a PKA and you do this full time, you're going to be there the 4 days prior, probably fish 3 or 4 days prior to the event of that week of, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But you may be living, hour or two away, have a full-time job and kids and family, a lot going on, and you just can't burn the vacation. So we're letting you fish within 2 weeks of 4 days at your choice. I can get into it on other podcasts. People are going to say, well, how do you, monitor that or whatever? And the same way they monitored the 7 days now for Bassmaster, or they monitored the 3 days of pre-fishing last year. You don't. It's an honor system thing. You only monitor it afterwards on the polygraph. But I, as a guy, if I had a family and only had so much time to pre-fish, and let's say I only got 2 days of pre-fish, and knowing at least I know everyone else had just 4, and 99.9% of the people, I promise you, they're following those rules anyway. They're not purposely pre-fishing more, and even if they do, they still have to it still have to matter. Then they have to go catch the fish to win the tournament. All that has to happen to even get to the polygraph. We can find out if they, did. But anyway, the point is, wouldn't you rather have the majority of the whole field just have a day or 2 of extra pre-fishing than you, as opposed to just leave it unlimited and people can just fish as much as they want? And now you're competing against the entire field that has, or a bunch of the field has more days than you. Because either way, you still have just 2 days. Whatever your vacation days can allow or time off can allow, you still just have that. So it will work out better for just for everybody, even the PKAs, because if you can have unlimited time there, they're kind of feel like, well, I got to be there 7 or 8 or 9 days because somebody else is going to be. So it actually gives them a break too, and so it's going to work out, I think, for everybody and be better.
So the 4 practice days would be Thursday and before. So Monday. So you would do a whole week.
If it was straight, if it was straight before Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but starting on the Saturday, 2 weeks prior, the Saturday, 2 Saturdays prior, right? is when a 2-week window occurs where you can only fish 4 days within that 2 weeks. So in other words, you could still have local clubs could have tournaments on Saturday and Sunday, 2 weekends prior or the weekend prior, and no one would be breaking a rule of, a pre-fishing rule for this event. Does that make sense?
Gotcha.
So you could even pre-fish
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Friday, fish your local
Oh
club on
yeah.
Saturday, or pre-fish 2 days, whatever. Just as long as it's 4 total within that 2-week window, then you're good. So
There you
it
go.
just gets more people kind of like in the game with a real fair shot, and no one has some huge, time advantage on the water than anybody else. If and some people aren't going to be able to even make Friday. Some people are going to treat Friday like a practice day because it's just a 4-hour window and it's only 5 fish. I don't know if we said that. It's 5 fish between Friday and Saturday. So you could blank on Friday, which is why I say it could be a practice day. I mentioned on another podcast, Robert Weicker fished in Florida at the KBF event on Friday at a lake he'd never fished before, caught a 10-pounder. And yeah, he knew where to go fishing on tournament day, but in this series, think about it. If he went and just gambled for Friday, because it's only 4 hours, you can't do a 12-mile float on a river in 4 hours. You have to have a different strategy. You might do flat water that day. You might just go microbagging that day. You might, whatever. You could do whatever you want on Friday's 4 hours, but it creates another strategy you have to kind of bring into play. And some people are going to, not even be able to make it on Friday just because maybe their schedule doesn't allow. But that's
Yeah.
okay. You can win a whole tournament in 30 minutes or an hour. You can catch, we see that happen all the time. You just, when you're on them, you're on them. You could win the whole thing on Saturday only, coming all the way back from zero, whether you actually missed Friday or you just zeroed on Friday because you explored somewhere new or somewhere you thought was going to be good, but it was blown out and it wasn't good. It gives you a chance to correct your error. So, people that struggle with catching 5 fish or maybe don't feel as confident, you have a day and a half to do it now. And it's a 10-inch minimum, not 12-inch. So another chance to make sure you get 5 fish to just make sure you
What
get that limit.
What about the team deal? It has to be 5 and 5, or can one person catch all 10?
It's going to be 5 and 5. Yeah, it's got to be 5 and 5.
Okay.
If one if one person catches all 10, there's a good chance. I mean, there already is a good chance that if you win the individual division, you're going to be cashing a check in the team division if you have a partner, unless the partner bombs. But if you won the
Yeah.
team division, there's a very good chance you caught more than just 5 that were good. That the bottom of your stringer is going to be higher than everybody else's bottom. So your 10 fish, if it was a 10 fish tournament, you probably would have won the 10 fish tournament too, most likely. But if you have a whole other person and it creates a whole other variable, they've got to do well too. So in a perfect world, we would love to see 2 different people, someone who didn't win the individual division win
Yeah.
team. But there would be times where someone sweeps it, and that's fine. That's just part of the game. But there's still obviously we're paying out well down into the field. So one person as good as they are, if Russ or whoever, if some big names show up, guys, they're only going to take one spot. You know what I mean? That's all they can ever take. And hopefully all the fun and festivities around this thing, the seminars, all the other ways you can win and reasons to be there, the charity and just the fun is hopefully enough. And if you really, really want to fish even more, we have a side pot tournament sponsored by Batteries Plus Stores. It's called Batteries Plus Sunday. It's a side pot. You're just going to win gift card to Batteries Plus, some big gift cards. It's only $20, but it's as soon as you check in kind of on Tourney X, you got your time. I'm not sure if we're doing 8 or 6 hours for it yet, but you just go from then. And then, so if you still want to fish more, you come all the way for a beautiful area. You sleep in after the after party on Saturday. It's only $20. You can still compete in a tournament on Sunday, and even start at 10 a.m. if you want. I mean, if you don't have to get anywhere by Monday, or if you live close enough. But if you want to just get there on Saturday and just show up to the festivities and not enter the event, just be there at the theater and the awards and the fun and see celebrity kayak fishing celebrities and people that you're fans of, YouTubers and influencers and people that'll be there, then show up for that fun and just enter the side pot thing. Yeah, get up at 6 in the morning and get on the water, at 7 and get that bite and win the side pot tournament, and those gift cards. So technically you could even just show up to that and actually be in the fun for just $20, I guess.
Just show up for the party on Saturday night and then fish the Batteries Plus deal on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to be so. And we'll recognize the top youth. We have a youth lower entry fee for the youth, top youth, and top female, stuff like that. So we could go on and on. There's so much more that didn't even get a chance to talk about now.
But before season starts, I'll have you back on to get everybody hyped up for it, because it sounds like a great time to me. Like bringing back old school kayak. More the it does seem like the sport has went in one direction to tournament and being more serious, sponsors, things like that. It's nice to have this too.
Yeah. Mimicking the
Yeah,
bass boat, the template that the bass boat world set for us that obviously is working well for the bass boat world. It's done well, so it's not a bad thing to follow that template. But that's what I'm saying. Those guys have got it, and they're doing such a great job. I mean, I enjoy fishing the Bassmaster and the Hobie and the KBF stuff so much, man. I love it, which is why
yeah,
I'm only doing 6 of these so I can still fish, more myself. And that's the only way I could do it. I said, all right, I think, like you said, given all that, like my resume, what I've done, I was like, I know I can pull this off and do something really cool, really unique, really fun for everybody. And it can benefit the whole kayak fishing community, all of us,
yeah,
like no one should be, we get into this little bubble where people want to be, you know, oh, take sides, this and that. It's like,
yeah.
I don't know anybody who could, you know, not see what we're doing and what we've kind of talked about as like we really generally want to just grow this and make this bigger and more fun for everybody. All the other trails, I'm friends with all those directors. I love them to death, and I've invited them to come to all these tournaments, and we'll get them on the stage and let them talk about the Hobie series, the Bassmaster series. Let's promote it. Let's get them. Let's get people other opportunities because again, we're only 6 locations a year and only once in each region, so there's lots
And
of other
AJ,
opportunities out there.
Steve, and Chad. I mean, they can all fish. They can come out and
Come
win
fishing,
win one
yeah,
too. Yeah.
yeah, come
Cool. All right. I know we're both working. I'll have you on for too long. We'll talk about it again before season starts. But man, I know me and everybody else, we appreciate you doing it. And another trail, another option out there, and a great time. Bring your family. Yeah, man. Thank
It's
you.
gonna be fun.
All right, dude. Be good.
All right, guys, see
And
ya.
we'll see y'all next. Oh, well, where can
Yeah.
everybody find?
Oh, well,
Yeah.
when
What
the website goes live, it will be kayakadventureseries.com. And right now we're just on Instagram and Facebook and maybe somewhere else, YouTube, but there's not a ton like up there, about it yet. But that's where you can follow us to start getting as more information starts coming out and more sponsors. And our hashtag is Chase the Wild because that's what we're all about. So yeah, go chase the wild with us in 2024 and later this month. It just the website is pretty sweet. I'm excited about seeing all the feedback and yeah, it's just hopefully I feel like it. And everyone said it's just very clear, understand when to be where, what's going on, and not too complicated because I want to do something cool. But the one thing we don't ever want to do is make it too
overwhelming? Yeah.
complicated and overwhelming, right? So,
Cool. Well, thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see y'all again next one. Later.
all right.